Before I talk about Pokemon Generation 2, let me ask you something. What does Pokemon mean to you? What is the one Pokemon game that holds a special place in your heart? Of course, there's no right or wrong answer because we all grew up in different time, different place, and even different cultures. But if you're watching this, I think you've played at least one Pokemon game, and you have the one game that has special meaning to you. For me, I grew up with Pokemon in Korea, and Pokemon is a story of my childhood. I think your first Pokemon game has very high chance to become your favorite. The feeling of adventure, exploring the world with your favorite Pokemons, and finally become the Pokemon League champion. On top of this, if you get a chance to share this experience with your friends, exchange informations, and even make new friends by just talking about it, how could you not love the game, right? And that's why I tell you that Pokemon Gold is a very special game to kids who grew up in Korea because game was very easy to access, that most of the kids were playing Pokemon Gold, having fun together, or at least had a chance to play it when they were young and at school. On my previous video, I shared that after Pokemon animation started in Korea, Pokemon became a cultural phenomenon that everyone went crazy. I even lied to my parents that I need my new notes, I need new pencil to get some money. I spent all of those money to eat Pokemon bread, to get more Pokemon sticker. Me and my friends were playing Pokemon Red and Blue in English, even though we couldn't read anything. Since Pokemon became so popular, Pokemon Gold and Silver were officially released in Korean. It was the first game in the franchise released in Korean. Imagine that while all this craziness was happening, you get a new Pokemon game that you can actually read and understand, and it even has 100 new Pokemon. I didn't even start talking about anything about gameplay yet, but it already sounds exciting, right? And there's more. Do you remember that I said game was very easy to access? I said most kids in the country had a chance to play Pokemon Go at school, right? Let me talk about that. I still remember the day. My mom was a high school computer teacher in Korea, and one day she asked me if I still play the Blue Monster game. I was like, "Mom, you don't know anything. It's called Pokemon." "Yeah, I still play." She then showed me some floppy disks from the back, just in case floppy disks are something looks like this. You know the save buttons icons? It's that. So she put those floppy disks into our Windows 95 computer back in the days. She clicked some stuffs and boom, there was Pokemon Gold in Korean. I was like, "Oh my god, Mom, what is it?" She said her students gave her this with some handwriting notes that her students wrote that this is a new Pokemon game and then instruction of how to use the emulator. I need to make a guess on this part, but I think her students were playing Pokemon Gold during computer class that she was teaching. I think she probably talked about me that I also play the same game describing as Blue Monster because I was always carrying Pokemon Blue with me at the time. She didn't know anything, but her students probably knew what I was playing, so I think that's why they told her to grab the floppy disk and give it to me. Pokemon Gen 2 was just different. I thought Pokemon Blue was very colorful. Then as soon as I started Pokemon Gold, I didn't even know what to say. It was amazing. This is the real colorful game. And the Pokemon Blue, that was not colorful anymore. And then the best part, I could read it. I brought some of my friends who also like Pokemon to my house, showed them this new Pokemon. No one knew about it, and of course they also want it. So when my mom came back from work, I gave her some massage, I cleaned the dish, then I asked if my friends can have it too. And boom, this is how my school changed. I don't know which one of my friends did it, but one of them copied the Pokemon game to every single computer in computer classroom. After that, during computer class, everyone was playing either Pikachu Volleyball, StarCraft, and Pokemon Gold. And then the best part is that it wasn't just my school. Most of the schools in the country experienced something similar. that they all had the Pokemon Gold ready in computer classroom, which made Korean kids to grow up with Pokemon Gold. I know this is not the right way to play game because we played on emulator, but before we go further, let me just say a few things. First, it was very hard to buy video games in Korea around the time. There's one place called Yongsan where we could buy all the electric stuff and video games, but there's one problem. This place was known as dungeon. There are people who's trying to sell the items on crazy price to people because we couldn't check price online easily, just like how we do now. And then they were very persuasive, I'd say. And then there were also very scary people around the dungeon who come and steal your money if you don't go with your parents. Second, back in the days in Korea, people downloaded games or music shared with others without really knowing or thinking that it's a bad thing, of course including me. And the third, I had no money. Alright, so what is point of all this? I mean, good that Pokemon game is in Korean, but if the game is not fun, what's the point of all this, right? The game itself was amazing as well. Even now, I think Generation 2 did a really great job welcoming the new players who never played Pokemon before, while showing the lots of respects to players who played their first game. Game teaches you what the buildings do what, when you should go there, show you how to catch Pokemon, and help players enjoy their journey. And then difference. Game had a built-in clock, a day and a night cycle, better sprites and animation, breeding and Pokemon eggs, holding items, new types of Pokemon, and of course, shiny Pokemon. And yes, all of these were introduced in Gen 2, and most of them exist even now. That just explains how good they are. On top of everything, this was the moment. I mean, at this point, since I already played the previous game, I knew that the end was coming, since I already got 8 badges and I was going to Champion League. I didn't even know the name of Generation 1 place because it was just called Pokemon World. But the map was very familiar. I know this one. So I was thinking, hey, yeah, I mean, Pokemon League is right there. Maybe the map was just to show some respect to the old players. Oh my god, I was wrong. After becoming the champion, the moment when you think game just ended, it wasn't over. I could travel to the Kanto, the region from Gen 1, and got a chance to explore all the places again in full color and see how it changed for the last 3 years. Unlike right now, where all the informations are available on online, we didn't know that there's something called post-game, so it really came to us as a surprise. The moment when I thought the game ended, all this happened. I could battle the old gym leaders that I know, and I could get more than 8 badges. It's 16. It felt like I was living a dream. Then, of course, there was this Mountain Silver that many people just cannot forget about. Facing Red, the character I played in Gen 1 for so long was right there. It's so cool that just music stops and his own theme song just begins. And I'll be honest with you, I thought he's not beatable because none of people around me could beat him. Like, game was telling me that the old character you played became a legend here. Of course, now I know that we can beat him, so that's what I plan to do this time. But here's the little problem that because this Gen 2's post-game was too amazing, it just set my expectations to the game so high. It even ruined my gaming experience from the moment. I could just not go back to the time where I didn't know about this amazing post-game contents. Every game I played after, even though I enjoyed the story part, once I finished the main story and see the ending credit, I was thinking there's probably more, that's something I missed, I need to find it. And sometimes, once I figure out there's no such thing, I feel disappointed and kind of blame the game. Even though the game never mentioned about such things, I feel like it wasn't really on them, but I was being really harsh to the other games. Alright, I feel like I just keep going if I don't stop myself around here. So let me just stop here about the introduction, and then let's get back to the business. Last video, I completed Gen 1 Pokédex, and I'm here to complete Gen 2 Pokédex as well. I will start with Pokemon Crystal because Crystal was never released in Korea. Before I dive into the Pokemon Crystal, just one little thing. I am planning to visit all the Pokemon generations and catch them all. So if that interests you, please like and subscribe. Thank you. After we click the new game, we get an ability to choose a gender. And I choose the girl because I have seen this screen a little bit too much, so it was time for something new. The game asked me for the time. This is the new stuff introduced in Gen 2 for the day and night cycle. After setting the gender and time, the familiar introduction by the Professor Oak begins. I don't know why Professor Oak again because we have a separate professor in Gen 2, but yeah, seems like we all like Professor Oak. After I finish naming my character, our adventure in New Bark Town begins. New Bark Town is a very small town, but I just like the music here and then the NPCs. After talking to a few NPC, and before we head to the professor, there's one character just staring on the side. And when we talk to him, he just kicked us out. What a violence, right? Once we talked to Professor, he gave me a starting Pokemon. There's a Cyndaquil, Totodile, and Chikorita. For this part, I had to spend some time because Gen 1, I could just follow the version's color. For example, red version is Charizard and blue version is Charizard, but here in the end I picked Cyndaquil because Cyndaquil is pretty cute. Since we had a mission to visit Mr. Pokemon, we had to Route 29. After that, I reached to the Mr. Pokemon's house, where I received the mystery egg. And then Professor Oak was just there. He saw me and then he handed me the new Pokédex, and he counts on me to complete it. I feel like now I became the real trainer with the Pokédex on my hand. After getting up from the house, Professor Elm gives a call that something very serious just happened. I have to go back. And on my way back, I encountered a very scary red-haired person who challenged me into the battle. And too bad, he only had a level 5 Pokemon while mine was 7. So yeah, it was just piece of cake. After battle, he says that he wants to be the best Pokemon trainer in the world. When I went back to the professor's lab, we hear that the red-haired guy just stole the Pokemons from the lab. I told the police his name. Oh, of course I named him Silver because I only played Gold before and Silver is the name. And then, officially our journey begins. Before we go, my mom offered to save some money for me. Yeah, I just let her save money because why not? And I get the impression that she really trusts me, and then I also trust her. My next stop was Violet City. This gym's leader inherited the gym from his father, and he's a fine trainer. Not good or not great, but just a fine trainer. He was using a flying type. And of course, I destroyed the first gym leader, and my Cyndaquil just evolved. And it wasn't done yet. There's a weird looking thing in this town called Bellsprout Tower. So I went over there, I see the Silver was already there and being yelled at the old man because he was not treating Pokemon very well. We also defeat the old man, we get a flash. We were done with this town. On my way to the south, I met an NPC who's trying to be the best with his favorite Pokemons, which reminds me of someone, and I definitely agree with this guy, because that's what I want to do. We also meet an NPC who's trying to sell Slowpoke Tail for 1 million Pokédollars. Of course, we don't have that much money. After that, we meet a Kurt, the Pokeball craftsman. He was very furious about Team Rocket's cutting off the Slowpoke tail. He couldn't just let it happen, and feel sorry for his daughter. But yeah, we went to the Slowpoke well together. He acted like he was gonna take care of everything, but in the end, I was the one who had to battle all the grunts and shut down their operations here. Once everything is cleaned up, the gym is now open. The bug-type gym leader was next. He had a Scyther. I think it was him from the animations who was using Scyther and fighting against Ash. And just like the animation, I defeated him and I got the badge. And as soon as I tried to leave the town, I encountered Silver again, not at the time when I expected. Well, of course I won. On the way to next town, the mystery egg we received just hatched and we get the Togepi. Togepi is pretty cute. Next town was Goldenrod City. And then Whitney is the gym leader. And I was about to skip the battle part just like any other gym, but I lost. I lost to the Miltank even though my Pokemon was very overleveled. I tried to use Revive, but the cow was drinking milk drink, restore HP, and keep destroying me with the rollout, so I had to give it a second shot. On the second shot, I didn't save any items. I used all the good potions. I destroyed Miltank, and I got the badge in the end. The funny thing is that even though we defeat the gym leader, Whitney does not give the gym badge. And then there's a lady says, give her some time. So we walk out from the gym, give some moments, and we come back. Now we receive the gym badge. And then there is something really important here. There's a bug catch event happening. And then I have to go there because I can catch one of my favorite Pokemon there. Scyther. I will gonna evolve him to the Caesar for sure. When I try to go next town, there's a weird looking tree just blocking me that I could not use the tree. So I had to go back to the town, get the squirrel bottle, and then use it. I remember when I was a kid, I was stuck on this place for so long because as a previous generation's expert, I knew that I could use cut here, but this one just looked different and then it just didn't work. Once we got to the next city's Pokemon Center, we meet Bill, the same Bill from the Gen 1, the weirdo, and he casually says that he invented a time machine and start from tomorrow it will gonna work. Says bye bye. In the same town, there's a kimono girls dressed up really pretty and using all the EV evolutions. And there's an old man who's watching these kimono girls for 24/7, just watching them, and if I can beat all of them, he will gonna give me a serve. So we talk to each of the kimono girls, and we get a chance to see 5 different EV evolutions. I think this is also for the new players and even for the returning players, to show them the 2 new types of the EV, and the existing ones. After defeating all of them, we get a serve. And just like what Bill told, we went back to his house and we get an Eevee. So out of the 5 evolution that we saw, we can just pick one and evolve now. Next is that we see a burned tower. This is a tower that has lots of mystery. When I went to the inside, Silver was already there. He get angry that there's nothing here. After we defeat him, we fall down to the underground, and that's the time when we first see the legendary beasts, Raikou, Entei, and Suicune. And they run away. After seeing the legendary beast, we are back to the business of getting the gym badges. And this gym badge says that he has a secret power that he can now see what others cannot. He talks a little bit more stuff. And I was really surprised when he used Gengar, and then the sprites and animations kind of looking down on me. I liked Gen 1 sprite, but Gen 2 one was just better. After getting the gym badge, we now head to the next town. The gym was closed, so I had to go to the lighthouse because The gym leader is on the top, and her partner Pokemon is sick. So she asked us to get a medicine for the Pokemon. So we swim all the way, we fight bunch of water Pokemons. Oh, the one of them was pretty cool. And once we get to the next town, and once we explain the situations, we get a medicine called Secret Potion. The first thing I tried is using it myself because Secret Potion sounds really cool that it was gonna do something amazing, but turns out that I couldn't use it. So I decided to be a little bit generous and I decided to give the Secret Potion to her. The funny thing is that the medicine worked, she thanked me so much and then she just leaves. I mean her Pokemon was just right sitting here and then how can she just leave herself? I tried to take the Pokemon back to her, but Pokemon just kind of barking with the palu palu and then just decide to sit here. So I just go to the gym myself and she thanked me for the help. But she also says that business is business and she will gonna use the new type of Pokemon, the Steel type, the one that was discovered in Gen 2. Since defeating her gives us strengths, we can now fight against the gym leader where we got the secret potions. He used the fighting type and even the gym leader himself is a very strong, like look at it. He throws stone and he's trying to scare us just by himself, not even using a Pokemon. After defeating gym leader, our Kulava evolved into the final form. Now he looks really cool. Our next stop is the Lake of Rage, one of the iconic places. There's this NPC who says that isn't Gyarados a blue color? Why is that Gyarados red? Yeah, I know exactly, right? Gyarados is supposed to be blue. And yes, this shiny red Gyarados, the one that everyone remembers. After catching the only shiny Pokemon that I saw, we meet Lance, the Lance from the Gen 1. And he says that he's investigating something and he wants me to be with him. And he asked me for the help. As soon as I enter the house, I see Lance use Hyper Beam to a person and acting like it's nothing. After he went to the downstairs, I just talked to the guy just to make sure he's fine, but wow, I feel sorry for him. In the hideout, we fight lots of grunts who has some different colors and different modelings. We even see the Silver. It sounds like Silver met Lance, the person who's using Hyper Beam to people. Silver got pissed off at losing him, and then he knows that Lance is way stronger, so Silver sounds like he got upset. Team Rocket's trying to fight 2v1, but good thing is that we also have Lance with us. I'm not really scared with other people when our Lance's Dragonites are using Hyper Beam to people. After defeating the hideout, we now challenge to the 7th gym, the Ice type. And of course, we get the gym badge again. Alright, so now we have 7 badges, and only one more to go before we challenge to the Elite 4. But there's some problems. I haven't really worked on my Pokemon entry members, because as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, my plan is to register my top 8 favorite Pokemons from the generations. However, I only have like one because Scyther and Eevee are technically Gen 1 Pokemons. Well, my plan is to evolve Eevee into Umbreon, but the evolution takes so long. I'm only playing during the night just in case the evolution happens, but it's just not happening. For Scyther, he needs something called Metal Coat to evolve into the Caesar. But the problem here is that the time when we receive Metal Coat is after defeating Elite 4 and become the Pokemon League champion, which does not work for me because I want to register this into the Hall of Fame. Good thing is that there is a way to make this work. I'm trying to steal it from Pokemon who have it, who have the Metal Coat, only for 4%. Since Scyther is the one who needs it, I taught Thief to Scyther because if he wants it, he's the one who needs to work really hard to make it happen. It was taking some time, and while grinding, I even saw Entei, not the one I expected, and that I was very nervous. What if I just catch Entei here? Then what should I record? And yeah, it didn't happen. In the end, it took me more than an hour of grinding to finally get it. Scyther started at level 27, and by the time he got it, he was at level 34. It was time to do the trade evolutions. I started a new save data on Pokemon Gold to help trade evolutions and steal Chikorita from it. I always thought Caesar's really cool, similar to Gengar from Gen 1. I never had him because I couldn't really trade with anyone since me and my friends were playing on emulator. I remember him shooting something like Hyper Beam from the hands, so yes, I'm very excited right now. Since I got Caesar, it's time to fill few more Pokemons to my Pokemon entry. Next Pokemon I'm trying to add to my entry is Delibird, because he looks really cute. I like penguins, I like Santa, so Delibird is for me. Interesting thing is that I honestly didn't know that Delibird is a Gen 2 Pokemon because I never had him. Me and my friends, we only played Pokemon Gold, and it seems like Delibird was the Silver exclusive Pokemon, and when I first saw him on Gen 2 Pokemon list, I knew that I was going to have him. Next entry member is Mario, because should I even explain? It's like a fat, cute balloon and just shooting some water from the mouth. The Mario is an iconic Pokemon from Gen 2, and I gotta say, it's a well-deserved. I also needed someone who can swim for me, so it was perfect choice. The last entry member is Grigor, but I like him, but he's really not my top 8. I actually reserved the last spot for some Pokemon that I never had a chance to use, but turns out there was no way for me to catch the Pokemon. I wasn't even close. I needed 16 badges, not even 8, 16 badges to catch the Gen 2 Pokemon. I almost completed my Pokemon entry except one Pokemon. Eevee is a Gen 1 Pokemon and I cannot just keep using it, right? And Eevee was already over level 30. So what I did was that I just ran around and I let Eevee to one-shot all the low-level Pokemons, and while they're grinding, I even saw Raikou. Not what I expected again, but yeah, it was good to see him here. And then I had to rescue the radio tower, really fast, because I was getting a haircut every day to raise the friendship, and tomorrow was the day when the brother comes in. So I rushed to the radio tower, I defeat all the Team Rocket. They're telling me the project that they're working on, Giovanni, come back. But we know what happened to Giovanni. After we defeat Giovanni from the Gen 1, he is back to studying Pokemon. So I don't think they're gonna see him again, but it seems like Giovanni didn't really tell anyone and just disappeared. And just like how Giovanni did, he disbanded Team Rocket here today. And I got Clear Bell for my reward. This means we can go back to the tower and we get a chance to catch Suicune. And I'll tell you how exactly I caught Suicune here. At first, I just went there, tried it, I couldn't catch. So I did some preparations. I spent all my money to buy Ultra Balls. And I brought the Pokemon who were gonna reduce the attacks, and Jinx, because she's the best. She has everything we need. I will tell you the strategy I used. I used Smokescreen again and again until accuracy doesn't fall down anymore. I used False Swipe to reduce the HP to 1, and I reduced the attacks, of course, until it doesn't go back again. And then lastly, I kissed Suicune so he falls asleep, and the rest is just keep drawing Ultra Ball. And if all the Ultra Balls we prepare doesn't work, we save and reload, and we try again. In the end, my Delibird was able to catch Suicune. That's It's like a Santa Claus giving me a gift. I really liked it. After catching Suicune, everyone just come out and then kind of says how amazing it was, and then that are gonna need to catch 2 more legendary beasts in order to catch Ho. I think this is a crystal thing because I remember I caught Ho before, when I was young, and I didn't need to catch all 3 dogs. After that, I went to the final gym, the Dragon Team Gym Leader. And despite me defeating the gym leader, she refused to give me the gym badge again. Like again, second time already. What's problem with that? And she asked me to complete Dragon Dance Challenge. And once we do, she gets really surprised because only person who passed before is the Lens. And she couldn't do it by herself. And she couldn't pass. Too bad. So we get a gym badge from her. And now we got all 8 badges. And then the best thing is that my Eevee finally evolved into the Umbreon. I was playing on the bed like before I go sleep, and I was so happy because I really wanted the evolution before I fight Elite 4. And this is my puppy. She looks like Eevee too, so I like her. Yep, it's time for us to go to the Elite 4. My Pokemon entry is finally completed. We can now go to the Hall of Fame. On the way I faced Silver, he seemed a little bit less angry because I think Lance gave him some good lessons, probably using Hyper Beam. But the problem is that his team was not even fully evolved, so he wasn't that strong. I mean, look at my team, it's fully evolved, really strong members. The Elite 4 and the Champion Lance were pretty tough. And as part of Elite 4, we meet Karen, who used Dark-type Pokemons. It seems like to become Elite 4, you really have to be the best, and imagine how much she worked really hard, using the new types of Pokemon and become a new Elite 4. After we defeat her, she gave a speech, the really famous one. Yep, I know, that's what I'm trying to do. And after that, we meet Lance. I'm just hoping he doesn't use Hyper Beam to me, and he's using Dragon types. Gyarados, and 3 Dragonites, I mean come on. And a Charizard? Charizard, yeah, Charizard, Dragon type, okay. Charizard looks like a dragon, yes, so makes sense. I think this is why there's a Charizard in the animations. Or maybe someone else's Charizard. After we defeat Lance, I was kind of preparing myself to fight against Silver. But Professor Oak just walks in and then the Hall of Fame section begins. So this is the other difference between Gen 1 and Gen 2, that our rival did not make to the champion. These are my proud members and my favorite Pokemons from the Gen 2. They are now going to the Hall of Fame. After the ending credit, and the moment when we think game just ended, we get a call from the professor, and now we can travel to Kanto. The timeline is that this is 3 years after the previous generation, so there were lots of changes happen. For example, Snorlax is sleeping on different place than we know. Safari Zone is closed because the person went on the travel. And then the island, which used to have the Pokemon Mansion, the volcano erupted and then whole town was gone. We meet Blue there. It was really good to see him here. It's a long time no see, man. And I have to say one thing. The Kanto Gym Leader's battle song, this background music, is one of my favorite. Like, it just feels different. I fight all Kanto Gym Leaders. And of course, the last one, instead of Giovanni, the blue was there. He was using his iconic Pokemons, and after finally defeating him, we get 16 badges. After completing all 16 badge, once we talk to Professor Oak, he opens some gate for us, some place called Mountain Silver. When we go to the Silver Cave, we face him, the legend, the Red, the one trainer that I could not defeat in my life. And this is the end of Gen 2 video because I still couldn't beat him yet. My next video, I am planning to work on my Gen 2 Pokédex, and as part of that, I'm expecting to get stronger, and that's the time when I'm gonna challenge Red again. I really hope you liked it, and if you can like and subscribe, that will gonna be really great. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.